Travis Etienne progressing for you?
Well, really well. Gosh, it's just it's exciting to get him out here and get him on the grass this whole offseason and really work with him. And he's doing a great job handling a lot of information we're throwing at the guys and putting him in different spots and just seeing what he can do right now.
How fun is that to put him in different spots and kind of experiment with?
Yeah, it is fun. This is the time to do that stuff, to really experiment, on both sides of the ball and just kind of see, what the guys can do, and he's one of those guys.
What could Chad Muma do? Have you figured out a role
Chad?
for him yet?
Well, obviously the inside linebacker spot, special teams player, versatile, can run. And again, a young player who's picking up the defense, only been with us a couple of weeks, but with guys in his position too, it'll come down to when you put the pads on in training camp and just see the physicality with these guys. But he's doing a really nice job. He's a smart kid, a lot of energy every day, doing well.
Where on the coverage teams do you have him right now?
Well, that's the thing. Listen, anything that's related to depth chart, I'm not going to get into. That's not the time or the place right now to get into that, so I'll punt that question.
As you close out OTAs this week and head into minicamp, how do your expectations change as you look at the team?
Well, we still have this week and next week, to wrap things up and still got a lot to kind of get accomplished. And for me, it's obviously number one, coming out healthy, no setbacks there, whether it's a healthy guy now or a guy that's injured that's, back out practicing with us and really, carrying momentum into training camp. And just the guys have done an excellent job. We've had great attendance, as you know, and just sort of keeping that momentum as we sort of wind down here the next couple of weeks.
How close, if you're not there already, do you feel you are to having the full force of your program implemented here?
I mean, we're close. The next phase obviously is the pads and the physicality and how I handle and transition to training camp. But I think this offseason was a success for us and a success for me from the standpoint of just having the number of guys here in attendance and the excitement and the enthusiasm that's in the building and it's the team's in a good place. We're throwing a lot at them in all three phases mentally. They're being, able to handle that right now, and we're getting a lot of great looks from our defense. So there's a lot of good film that we can study as we transition into training camp. But that's really the next phase now as we get into camp.
What about in terms of the players fully understanding what a Doug Pederson program is going to look like?
I think they're getting close. We haven't gone through a training camp yet, and there's some things there that'll be probably a little different for them. I'm also big on still protecting the guys and making sure that they're fresh and ready to go for the regular season, but at the same time, they got to know that we got to get work done. And I spend as much time as I can in pads and feel like that this is a physical game and we need to do that, right? So that's the next phase for them to understand just a little bit more about how I handle that.
What's the key for Josh Allen to be a consistent guy?
I mean, that's just it. Just be consistent. Just be who he is. Don't try to do anything other than just be Josh Allen. Let his talent speak for itself, and feed off of the guys around him, and step up as a leader, which we've seen him do since he's been back, he's an excitable player. Someone that can make a lot of plays on defense, and I think with some of the new additions that he'll be able to get back to that.
How much do you think that will help him with adding like Walker and some of those other guys?
Well, I think it can only help him, and it takes a little, pressure or stress, whatever, off of him. I think, opponents are going to have to, if the success is there, and we hope it is, that as teams scheme us on defense, that it frees up, Josh to be able to be more of what he was just a couple years ago, and getting back to that, and I think having those pieces around him can do that.
What has impressed you the most about Laviska up to this point?
Gosh, the way he practices and the way he works out there on the grass. I mean, he's 100%. on the field. When he gets a rep, it's 100%. And he's done a good job of learning and picking up the information. But to me, that's what's really stood out with Visca, is just how he really prepares himself for games, and obviously now with just with practice.
Were you surprised a little that he asked to return punts? Were you expecting that, or just?
No, I mean, he wants to. He's another player that wants to win and do what he can for the team, and for him to want to do that, just shows, I think, maturity with him and where he is in the stage of his career, and the more people that stand up and want to do more things, the better off we're going to be.
Your offense has had some tight ends put up big numbers in the past. Now that you've seen Evan Ingram kind of in person, starting to learn his skill set a little bit, how does he fit in your offense as far as what you like to see from a tight end?
Well, he's another one, that you can move around. You can create some matchups, with him. And again, we're still in kind of those early stages as far as just learning and seeing where they are, mentally with the offense. But he's got such great speed and versatility. He's not a big guy, but he's an athletic guy. He can run and can create some separation, and we've seen that here, the last 2 weeks of OTAs, and it's something that that as coaches, obviously, we're excited to be able to game plan, when we get down the road for someone like that.
When you have a guy like Evan Ingram and a guy like Travis Etienne that you can line up at different spots and create matchups, are those the kind of players that you really kind of get excited about? It gets your wheels turning, like, ooh, I can do some things? Yeah,
and it also depends on the opponent, too, who you're playing and who they have on defense. And, you just got to be a little careful with pass rushers and things like that, just kind of like what we're talking about. We have to scheme the defense as well and make sure that we're using resources to be able to throw the football down the field. But it is exciting to be able to have a couple of guys in your offense that you can, throw Christian Kirk in there. You could put him in that group, and guys that you can move around. And Visca is another one you could probably throw in that group. That you want to get touches for these guys. The only problem is you got one football, and you just try to do the best you can to get them all involved.
Apologies for a little rehash here, but when you were piecing your staff together, was it a planned effort to get guys who had played in the league, or is that because these are the guys you knew and have dealt with in the past?
No, to answer the first part, it wasn't the first thing I thought of, but obviously guys that have played, I think these players can kind of look up to them, that they've been out there and kind of done that and been there, and there's a lot of great, I think, information that can go back and forth, and questions can be answered just because the guys have played, and of course for most of us it's been a while since we've played, but I think just leaning on those experiences and being able to translate that and really communicate that to your team helps those guys.
Can it help more with a fairly young team like this?
I think so. Guys that don't have as much experience on the grass can look to a coach, their position coach, and say, hey, how did you do this or how did you do that? And I think that can definitely help a younger player.
And how much easier, if at all, does it make it when you're all in the same room for the first time like this year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's one, all these guys have had experience coaching, number one, and then number two, I think their background of playing the game, has helped, and they've been coached by some great coaches themselves, and so a lot of those experiences, really can translate to a young team.
Doug, we saw James running with the weighted vest last week. What have you seen from his progress, and how is he progressing, obviously, after the Achilles last year?
Those things, of course, I don't see them because they're not out on the field. I hear about those things, and I'm excited to see him do that. It just shows the progression of where he is health-wise, and really looking forward to down the road when we get him back. But all of that is exciting, knowing that he's heading in the right direction.
And then I know you're not going to talk about depth, but that running back room, once it is healthy and once you do see everyone on the field, just how excited does that make you, knowing that you have guys who can do so many different things?
Yeah, it is exciting. But at the same time, we got as coaches, we got to make sure that we get the most out of them and put them in the right spots too. That's our job to do that, and they just have to go play and let us worry about where they play. And but again, it goes back to the amount of touches with one football. So he's definitely a player that we want to consider.
What kind of role do you see for Arden?
Arden's going to be, he's going to be, again, one of these a versatile, defensive linemen, whether he's playing on the edge or playing inside. It brings some value on third down, obviously. The pass rush and a rotational guy, a guy that we can, keep D-line fresh throughout the course of the game, and these guys don't have to, play, 75, 80% of the snaps. You can really spread it around. I think about, the year we won the Super Bowl. I mean, guys like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham were only playing 60, 65% of the snaps because we were rotating, guys. And that's what you got to have, it's guys that can come in and contribute, and he'll be one of those guys.
What are you seeing out of Trevor the last week since we met with you last?
He's doing a really nice job, leading the football team, number one, and just executing the offense. I mean, obviously, been impressed with him throwing the football and how easy it is for him to throw and the communication too, and that's the growth process, just watching him and the questions that he asks and it's been fun, just to kind of get to know him a little bit and then obviously put him in. We've put him in some tough situations. We put the whole team in tough situations, which is part of the process too, and he's been able to handle those really well.
How close are Malcolm Brown and Darius Williams to being out there? To being out there on
I think they're very similar to James. I don't like to talk about timelines and all that because it's you never know, but they're both doing extremely well and working hard. So we'll see. I think when it's down the road training camp and as we get going, we'll see where they kind of fit in.
When you come into this situation, they're building a new facility, how involved do you get, and do you get to make changes that would fit you and your
Well,
coaches?
I wish they would wash my car every day because all that construction dust kind of falls on the parking lot.
You can park further away.
That's farther a walk. No, it's been really good. They've the construction team that the Jaguars have. I mean, the guys are kind of people that are overseeing it have asked for opinions and some insight and some input and and especially on the football side and how a football office should be and look and so we've had some good meetings and some production.
Bigger office or smaller office?
I think it's about the same size, maybe a touch bigger. They'll have more windows.
There you go. For people to see in or for you to see out?
Well, you'll have to really peek over the fence to see in, but yeah. All right.
So you have made changes. You have made changes to the football.
Not necessarily changes, but just suggestions and ideas that if they want to make the changes, then they can. But I think it's just more of the suggestions and ideas that they're interested in. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.